We have one creator, and that creator made us in a specific way. And he made us with a very specific nature. All of us have the same nature. The only difference between one person to the other is that sometimes that nature, the natural state of the human being, gets covered up. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created within every human being something we'll call something like a hole, something like a sort of empty space inside of the human being. This is all conceptual, not literally, but there is this need inside of every human being. That means that Muslim, non-Muslim, every human being has this need. And any time that as a human being we feel a sense of emptiness, or we feel a sense of something's missing inside us, something needs to be filled, so we are motivated to try to fill it, right? This is a natural motivation. You feel empty, you want to fill. This is where we fall into the problem. Because what we try to do is we try to fill our emptiness with what is closest to us and with what we can see and feel and touch. Because as human beings we have this weakness. Among other things, our weakness is that we like to reach out to the things that we can see and the things that feel more tangible, more than we like to go beyond that to what is unseen. So what we as human beings, because we have this nature of impatience, we have a nature of wanting what is easy and what seems to be closer to us. So what we end up doing is we try to fill this emptiness that we agreed everyone has. We try to fill this emptiness with the material world. And when I say the material world, don't get me wrong, don't misunderstand. I don't only mean that we try to fill it with material things as in money and jewelry and fancy cars. That is one of the things, those are things that yes, we do try to fill the emptiness with. But there are a lot of different types of sedatives that we try to take in order to numb the feeling of emptiness and in order to fill that void. Now here's the problem. We said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everything, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made an emptiness or made a void that can only be filled with one thing. So this is where we fall into the problem. As human beings, we feel the emptiness. And so we go to try to fill it, but we try to fill it with the wrong things. Some of us try to fill it with drugs. Some try to fill it with alcohol. Some try to fill it with other people. Some try to fill it with our careers. Some try to fill it with money. Some try to fill it with power, status. But essentially we're all trying to do the same thing. We're trying to fill that emptiness. And this is the reason why, as human beings, we start to take these objects. Sometimes they're other people, sometimes they are our careers, sometimes they are money, sometimes status, sometimes power, sometimes wealth. But we take these things and we start to love them as we should only love our Creator. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ومن الناس من يتخذ من دون الله أندادا يحبونهم كحب الله. And there are some from among people, ومن الناس من يتخذ من دون الله أندادا, that there are some people who take besides Allah rivals, أندادا. And in what way are these things rivals with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? These are not things necessarily that we bow down to. They are not things that we necessarily pray to. Because we have this idea in our mind that an idol is just something that you make out of stone and then you pray to it. Right? At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the idol worshippers, they made stone idols and they prayed to them. And so we limit this concept of idol worship. We limit this concept to just a stone object or saying that God has a son, and that's where we think that's idol worship. And as long as I don't do that, I don't have idols of the heart.